From an island on the Delaware River to a conference of 15,000 aeromen, from a single cheerful spark grew an everlasting fire. A century of service celebrated at the 2015 National Order of the Arrow Conference. Tradition, service, adventure, a gathering of the Brotherhood of Cheerful Service. From the campus of Michigan State University, this is the NOAC Nightly News with Kevin Montano.
Good evening. Welcome to NOAC Nightly News. I'm Kevin Montano. Tonight, we will bring you a look into events around the conference, from high adventure to American Indian affairs and everything in between.
Striker, and you'll get Starks.
All right.
If you're tired of campus life, a small slice of the backcountry can be found right here at the OA High Adventure tent at Cherry Lane Park.
Staff from all 4 National High Adventure bases are on hand to talk with participants. One staffer from Northern Tier loves the solace of life on the water.
What do you like the most about being in Northern Tier in the Boundary Waters?
The total lack of communication with the outside world for 13 days at a time. I love the silence, and I love having 200 pieces of junk mail to sort through once I come off trail.
Participants can check out backcountry gear as well as the tools of the trail.
I personally.
An OA High Adventure experience is life-changing, according to one foreman.
OA High Adventure is one of the best times that I've had in scouting and in the Order of the Arrow. I think it's a really worthwhile trip. You get to give some really great service to the High Adventure bases. Like at Philmont, we're building some really important trails that people will be hiking on for decades to come. So you give that meaningful service, and then you get to have fun, you get to enjoy yourself, and you also get to meet kids from all across the country, all different lodges, and so that's a great part of it too.
According to Jesse, Philmont truly is a magical place to be.
Philmont Scout Ranch, if you've never been to it, you gotta go. It's really a very unique place. It's kind of like the heart of scouting, the way I see it. There's just a lot of passion there for scouting, for the outdoors, for living in the backcountry, enjoying nature, preserving nature as well. So you know, there's mountains to climb, there's trails to build, rivers to cross, just everything a scout could want. All the adventures out there.
Outdoor fun isn't the only thing you'll find at the conference. The STEM lab is open, and we have a look inside. STEM lab participants can learn how to operate various robotic systems, play with liquid nitrogen, practice basic chemistry, and so much more. Participants are also encouraged to try their hand at various mind games, learning more about the science of the human mind.
Hi, I'm Chris. I'm on NOAC staff, and I'm here at the Hive with STEM, which stands for Science, Technology, Engineering, and Mathematics. And it's a really exciting program and opportunity for people to come down and have a great time. So we've got all kinds of things going on here at STEM, different things from different aspects of science. So over here we've got liquid nitrogen that we're having some fun with. Liquid nitrogen is very cold, so when you put anything in it, it immediately freezes it pretty much. And various things which normally aren't brittle become extremely brittle, and therefore you can easily smash them. And over here we got some rubber duckies which we're destroying.
At the STEM lab, you might even see an exploding rubber duck.
The goal here is to figure out where different taste thresholds are. It's very interesting because you get some people that, you know, same age, same region, they can taste sugar and only one, others can taste sugar and all the samples that have sugar. And then some people, the really sugary samples, think it tastes disgusting. Sugar in here. So we were very lucky to have some support from some engineering students here coming by and bringing some of the cool robots for us to play with. And that's not just bring their Vex robots, but they also lend us these Mindstorms that we've been able to play with throughout the day.
I would have done something.
Build various things from dragsters to guitars.
It doesn't really match up too far. Oh, it doesn't?
So we're very fortunate to have outreach with quite a few people in the STEM areas to be able to come in and talk with scouts at NOAC about various different things.
To observe and preserve the customs and traditions of the Order of the Arrow. These words help to explain why the OA Endowment was created more than 30 years ago and reminds us of our personal obligation to support it. Since its humble beginnings 3 decades ago, the OA Endowment has grown to become the primary funding source for the OA's programs that have the greatest impact, including OA High Adventure, the Josh Sane Memorial Scholarships, Lodge Service Grants, the Kids to Camp Partnership, National Leadership Seminar, and more. We hear the success stories of the impact these programs have on the lives of young men every day. We see it in their growth as leaders today and in the future. Every donor feels a sense of great satisfaction knowing that all of the investments they will make through their lifetime, the return on an investment in the OA Endowment Fund will be among their greatest. The endowment has also helped lodges return service back to their councils through the Oas Service Grant. Since its creation 16 years ago, the Service Grant has provided nearly $700,000 in matching grants to lodges who have planned and executed projects at their council's camps. The endowment has also sent countless kids to camp through the Maury Clancy Campership Fund, which was created in 1971 and ensures American Indian Scouts can attend summer camp. Leaving a legacy. We hear these words often in our Order of the Arrow programs, and making an investment in the National OA Endowment is one way you can do just that.
I'm Ed Pease. I was National Chairman of the Order of the Arrow from 1993 to 2000, and I'm a donor to the Order of the Arrow Endowment. The reason that I gave to the endowment and continue to give to the endowment is because of the tremendous impact that scouting has had in my life and the tremendous opportunities that the Order of the Arrow has provided to me, both as a young person and as an adult. And I know that those things are possible because somebody before me made sure that there was a program there and it had the resources that it needed to provide program for kids my age. And I feel now that I'm an adult, I have a responsibility to make sure that the future is taken care of for the next generation.
Making an investment in our youth through the National OA Endowment has never been easier. There are many ways to give. Your gift of $1,000 earns you the distinction of being a Legacy Fellow, and a gift of $10,000 or more enrolls you as a member of this prestigious Goodman Society. To learn more, visit www.endowment.oa-bsa.org or call the National OA office at 972-580-2440.
Good evening and welcome back to NOAC Nightly News. Joining me now is incoming Chief Scout Executive Mike Surbaugh, who is currently the BSA's Group Director of Human Resources, Innovation, Exploring, and Learning for Life. Thank you so much for joining me. Mike, tell me, what has your conference experience been like so far? We had a phenomenal opening show yesterday, which really brought the theme out. How's it been for you?
Kevin, this has been great. This, for me, was a lifelong dream to come to NOAC. Most summers, while I was in local council service, I always liked to be around during the summer camp season because there were so many scouts that went through the camp. I was always concerned that maybe something would happen and I'd be away. But I was always very jealous because I would sit and meet with the lodge advisor and the lodge chief when they'd come back from NOAC, and I would hear about all the things going on. So while I was in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, I actually committed to our group that I would come to this NOAC. And I said, it's the 100th anniversary, I've got to be there. So my plan was to come. It's been kind of exciting to see them here. And they said, well, one way or the other, you actually made it to NOAC. So this is my first one, and I'm having a great time.
That's awesome. What is your background in scouting? I know you mentioned you worked at the local council level, and I'm sure worked your way up. What's your scouting story?
Sure. Scouting's just been a part of my life since age 8. I joined the Cub Scouts and went all the way through the program. Had a chance to serve on a local council summer camp staff near Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, and became convinced to go into the profession, and then had a chance to serve in different capacities in 6 different councils across the country. And then I went to the National Service Center about a year and a half ago.
Okay, exciting. Donnie Stevens, our National Vice Chief, mentioned last night in his speech that BSA membership numbers are declining. That's what it is. Is scouting still relevant?
Well, let me tell you, Donnie's speech last night was powerful. I mean, if you haven't seen it, if you've got a way to go back, and if it's on the if it's a podcast or is it taped on the website, if it isn't, we need to make sure that it is, because everybody needs to hear that. It was really, really something. In fact, Dr. Gates and Tico Perez, our national commissioner, were sitting right in front of me, and after his speech, I leaned down and I said, "Gentlemen, if I don't work out, you need to hire that guy." I think he really spoke to why it's so important for us to share the scouting story. My personal feeling, scouting is as relevant today as it's ever been. In fact, I think scouting is probably more relevant to the needs of today's youth. Sometimes our delivery isn't seen as relevant. We don't have the easiest execution model. And we have a program that's been built up and layered on for 105 years. So we've got a lot of stuff. And I think that's going to be important in the next generation of scouting, is to take the leadership, the character, the fitness, all of our core values, and streamline our program so it's a little bit easier to deliver. But as far as people that would challenge us and say, is scouting still relevant anymore? I would argue that with anybody. I think scouting is highly relevant because of what you see here at NOAC. We have some of the finest young people in America, and these are going to be the leaders of our country.
Absolutely. You just mentioned that, we have to streamline how we deliver the scouting program. It's necessary for us to continue to deliver it in a way that is relevant in our delivery. The ideals of scouting are relevant. They've always been relevant, but delivery may not always be. What are your long-term goals with regards to youth programming in the BSA?
Well, I'll give you one example. I had a chance to see a Cub Scout pack that was being organized, and there was a gentleman there who was probably about 30 years old, and he had a son, and he was willing to make the commitment to be a den leader. But as he was looking at the tables full of resources we had, and a very enthusiastic Cub Scout leader was saying, and we have this, and we have this, and we have this book, and you can take this training, and there's another day training you can take, you can come to round table every month, and then there's the internet resources. And finally, he stops and he said, "Dude, just tell me what to do." And I think that's what today's millennials, the volunteers and the parents that we're trying to attract, are really looking for, is give me the training that I need when I need it, make the program simple for me to operate, and I'm willing to participate. So I think sometimes we may overwhelm people with all the good stuff we have.
That makes a lot of sense. It's definitely an approach to take. What's your long-term vision for the Boy Scouts of America, just in general? Next 10 years, where do you see us?
I honestly feel that one of the missions that I personally have, that I hope everybody here has, is we have to grow the movement. We've had a membership decline now for a number of years. It's important for us to get together and take what we know that makes scouting work and bring it home.
And one last question. What is the significance of the Order of the Arrow to you? We touched on how you were always jealous of those who get to the conference, and this is your first one. What does the Order of the Arrow mean to you?
I think the Order of the Arrow is the epitome of what scouting in action really means. It's where leadership, character, personal development all comes together in a spirit of service. It's what keeps a scout in scouting.
Wonderful. Well, I'm here with incoming Chief Scout Executive Mike Surbaugh. We'll be right back. This is NOAC Nightly News.
Thank you, Kevin.
Welcome back. You're watching NOAC Nightly News. I'm here with Kay Trick, a member of the National Order of the Arrow Committee and the lead advisor for the NOAC 2015 Trading Post. Kay, thank you so much for joining me. Tell me, how did you first get involved in scouting?
Well, in 1984, my son joined Tiger Cubs, and I went in as a Tiger parent, and he went through the Cub program, and in 1988 joined the Boy Scout troop in our local unit, and when he went there, I also transferred over into the Scout unit. And in 1992, my son was called out for the Order of the Arrow. 93, I was called out. And in 1994, we did our brotherhood together. And during that ceremony, knowing nothing about the ceremony, we reflect back on it now. It was really a neat thing for us because we passed the burden between the two of us. And both of us were very active in service in our lodge. And in 1994, we went to our first NOAC. I was the associate contingent leader, and we brought the Arrowmen to the conference that year. And again in 96, I was the lead to bring the contingent. And in 98, I began working at the trading post for NOAC.
You've been there ever since.
I have.
So how did you get involved at the national level in the Order of the Arrow and now be a member of the national committee?
Well, in 1998, when I began working in the trading post, each year that we had a conference, I was lucky enough to be asked to return. And in 2007, Brad Haddock called me one day in the fall, and we chatted for quite a while. And during the conversation, Brad said to me, Kay, I suppose you're wondering why I've called you. And I said, well, yes, you know, I was curious. And what he said to me at that time was, I would like to ask you to join the National Order of the Arrow Committee. And I said, Brad, could you please repeat what you just said? And he said, did you not hear me? And I said, oh, yes, sir, I heard you. I just want to make sure that I heard you.
Can I get Travis to the
because
stage, please?
It kind of took me back because,
Travis
to my knowledge, I was then the first woman to be considered to join the National Committee. So I reflected on that, spoke with my husband, and a few days later returned a phone call to Brad and told him that I would be honored to serve in that capacity. So my appointment was in the spring, in May of 2007, to the National Committee.
Very cool. So you're the lead advisor for the trading post here at the conference. How do you manage the logistics of a trading post like that?
As you can imagine, for all committees, there's a lot of moving parts. I listened to Dr. Marchetti just today talking about how the endowment really got started. And it started because of a coffee mug. That's what they sold the very first time. They sold X number of coffee mugs, and that money was set aside into the endowment. So it's grown from that particular item to what you're seeing today, which is very different for this conference than what it was for any conference that I've ever worked at. As we move forward, and especially with the size of our conference this year, working in the same space that we were at MSU required us to really do some different thinking. At the planning meeting this past year, I give credit to David Dowdy and the team that was there working, because it was really David that helped kind of guide the conversation towards an IKEA model.
Explain what that means to me.
Okay, well, it's if you've been in an IKEA store, we don't have all the neat food that they have, but we certainly have that concept. You walk in one end of the trading post, and rather than being driven down one line, which used to be our model, you would go down the line, you were kind of stuck behind someone else. You couldn't get out to pay cash, you couldn't, you know, kind of go back unless you would ask someone to save your spot. And in this model, if you want to go to apparel, you can go to apparel. It's a free flow, and you can just kind of go and pick and choose your items that you want. So we have things set up in a succinct order, similar, very similar to what they have at a jamboree. So you get a bucket, and the reason for the bucket is to make sure that we're within fire codes. So even if you're not shopping and you're just with a friend, you still take a bucket. That's our head count. As you go through the apparel line, if you choose not to go there, you can go to the patches or the gifts or wherever you choose. if you need to go back and get something else, we set it up so that as you go through apparel, some items are there, but they repeat in another area where it would be gifts. So it helps our customer not have to go backwards.
Right. That's really cool. How are you handling I know there's an ability to pre-order merchandise on site. How are you handling that?
That's a new concept as well, and we give credit to Ryan Brady. He calls it, excuse me, I think it's Bopsis. Maybe I better not use
Boppus,
Boppus.
A buy online, pick up in store.
Buy online, pick up in store, exactly. And what it has done for our conference is if someone is out anywhere about the conference, you can go online to our trading post, place your order, and literally by the time you get back from whatever event you're at, we've got your order picked. You go to the regular pickup area like you would if you had a pre-order, and your order's there, you pick it up, and you're free to go on about your business. You didn't even have to shop in our store. Would I prefer you do? Yes. I want you to see the product line.
Right.
And have that experience. But if you're taxed for time, it's another option for our customer.
That's really cool. What has been your favorite moment of the conference so far?
Last night's show. You know, I don't really get out a lot, so it's not like I see a lot of the different areas, but last night's show I thought was really well thought out, well planned. Everybody was excited.
Absolutely. The atmosphere in that arena was just electric.
It is. It was.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Be sure to visit the NOAC Trading Post in Brody Hall, or if you're at the conference, shop online at tradingpost.oa-bsa.org. We'll be right back. You're watching NOAC Nightly News.
Hundreds of airmen brave an early wake-up for today's NOAC 5K. These participants lived the Scout motto by participating in a 5-kilometer run around the Michigan State University campus. The event was sponsored by the Activities and Recreation Committee. The Art Committee is also hosting morning calisthenics in each neighborhood to help participants stay physically fit. Dance competitions are underway at the Munn Ice Arena. Dancers are competing in various styles, including Northern Traditional, Old Style, Grass, Fancy, Chicken, and Straight Dance. Both experienced and novice dancers have a place at Munn. While experts compete for top honors, novices can receive instruction from experts in each and every style of dance. Dance competitions continue through tomorrow and will culminate in the awarding of top honors during the Night of Champions. We will bring you live coverage of the American Indian Affairs and Inductions and Ceremonial Events Night of Champions from Munn Ice Arena tomorrow night. Up next on NOAC TV, we will have live coverage of the evening show of this National Order of the Arrow Conference. The show is titled 100 Arrows, and tonight's arena show will showcase our order's rich history as we reflect and prepare to enter a new century of service. For all of us here at NOAC Nightly News, I'm Kevin Montano. Be sure to join us after the arena show for NOAC Tonight with Mitch Leonard, with special guests Northeast Region Chief Matt Bell and Western Region Chief Nathan Lee. Have a great night.